Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Franchise Empire newsletter, where we break down some interesting franchise opportunities. We will go over today over a strong resale for only $125,000. We will talk about opening up a smoothie shop franchise, which I think you'll find very interesting. I believe it's Tropical Smoothie that we're Smoothie King. We already did Tropical Smoothie last week. So we're going to talk about how much money they make, how much money they cost to get open, what are some of the fees that they charge. We'll talk about one of our clients that we recently helped that bought a franchise, and maybe you can see yourself in their journey. And then we'll share some recent content and training videos that we put out around buying a franchise and some other opportunities. Before we jump in, I'll go ahead and make sure that we play this required thing. All right. If you're new here, my name is Tarek Johnson. I'm the CEO and founder of Franchise Empire. And every week we send out this newsletter via email. So if you want to get that, then I can switch something up here so that you can see that at the bottom. franchiseempire.com/newsletter. Go there and you can get this in your inbox every Sunday morning, and you will not need to wait for this live stream. You can just read it at your own leisure. And typically, Mark is here, our head of brokerage, is typically here with me, but he is tending to some other items today. So you got me. All right, so let's dive into this. Okay, featured resale. So again, we keep the resales confidential. If you're interested in a specific one, then we can, of course, share the name with you privately, not publicly. But this one is in Massachusetts, and this is in the home services space. The asking price is $125,000. The gross revenue for the prior year, $746,000, and the SDE, $41,895. So seller's discretionary earnings, if you're not familiar with that, basically the total financial benefit that the owner gets for the business overall. And this business has been around since 2015. So look, it's got a cheap, my feedback on this overall, it's got a cheap asking price, $125,000. Typically, the asking price is a multiple of the profit that the business is making. You can see here, the business is not making much money in terms of profit, with SDE of $41,895. And the business has been around since 2015. So if I was someone in this area in Massachusetts and thought, this looks interesting to me, I'd want to know. I'd want to dig into the financials. I want to see what the business is spending money on to do $746,000 in sales, but only basically $42,000 in owner's benefit. That's, basically 5% margin. So I'd want to know the story here. You never know. With resales, there are basically two different types. You've got, and I got this from Chris on our team, one of our franchise brokers. He calls them either dogs or diamonds. Diamond resales are resales that are making typically six figures or more in profit, right? Could be multiple six figures. And you're going to pay a higher price, right? Because businesses typically sell for 2 to 4 times their profit. So if a business is profiting $200,000, typically that business is going to be listed somewhere between $400,000 to $800,000. You're going to pay a large purchase price for it. And that would be, let's call it a diamond. And sometimes you can have diamonds that are profiting a significant amount of money. You can have diamonds that are, I was looking at a resale the other day that's in our portfolio, and it was showing $1.5 million a year in earnings for the owner. So, and as you can imagine, that business was priced at over $4 million because of it. But then you got dogs. Dogs are opportunities that are either businesses that are losing money, or that are pretty much break even, or, just not making much money at all. And, with the right due diligence and kind of understanding what's going on in that business, you could have the opportunity to turn it around. And it's kind of like a dog is basically like rehabbing a real estate. It's like rehabbing a real estate house, where someone buys something that is very cheap, but it needs a good amount of work. You're going to need to put some money into it. When you start opening up walls, you may find things that you weren't expecting. But then people that take on that risk, put the money in, and then go relist it, can often make a pretty nice profit. So that's the way that I think about dogs in terms of resales. Not for the faint of heart, for sure. Our take on this, the proven model allows the owner to focus on team leadership, business culture, and customer satisfaction, while integrated systems handle scheduling, billing, and operations. Skilled team in place, experienced and well-trained employees are ready to support a smooth transition with this specific business. And this is step into ownership of a well-established, market-leading lifestyle business that only operates Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. No nights or weekends required. Interesting. Now, what I would share is that if you're buying a business that has it's not showing a great margin and a low asking price on that level of revenue, okay, maybe your team is not working on the weekend and servicing customers, but in the beginning, you probably should be working nights and weekends to figure out how to get your business turned around. So again, with resales in general, especially something that's more of a turnaround opportunity, our positioning at Franchise Empire is that you need to be going in full time. This needs to be something where it is your all-consuming obsession, to dig in and get the business turned around, and the effort and energy that it needs. Okay, maybe after a year or two or three, when you've got things rocking and rolling, then you can have a really solid manager in place overall. And it doesn't mean you can't have a manager in place really running the day to day, but you as the owner should be involved on a full time basis. That's our overall philosophy, especially with an underperforming resale. So we'll move on to the next item on our agenda. But if you're in Massachusetts and you're interested in learning more about this specific resale, and getting connected to the owner and getting connected to the franchisor and being able to see the financials and understand the story here with this business, then you can go to franchiseempire.com/resales and just let us know, hey, I saw the resale in Massachusetts on the live stream. Or if you're someone who is not in Massachusetts and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to know if there are any resales available in my area. Maybe you live in California, maybe you live in Florida, maybe you live in Wyoming, but you're thinking, hey, I'd like to know if there's anything available in Franchise Empire's portfolio. Well, we have over 100 resale opportunities. Then again, you can also go to franchiseempire.com/resales. You'll enter your information, and when it asks you, hey, do you have a particular resale in mind? You would just say no. And that's it. And you'd be able to schedule a free call with our team, and they can take a look for you. All right. By the way, if you guys have any questions throughout this, drop any questions you have as a comment, and I'll make sure to answer those at the end of this video, at the end of the live stream. Let's keep it rock and roll and move on. What? Nailed it. New franchise owners. So every week, we want to celebrate the new owners, the new entrepreneurs that Franchise Empire has helped. And we're at the point where every week we have typically multiple people a week that are becoming an owner, of a franchise, whether resale or new territory. And we like to scream it from the rooftops and share the journey. Number one, because at the end of the day, one of our core values is always putting our clients first. So everything we do is with the success in mind of our clients, as Mark would call them, candidates. And so that's the most important thing. So when they win and achieve their goals, we want to share it because that's what's most important. Number two is that some of you may read these or hear these and really kind of see yourself or experience yourself in someone else's journey or story. and maybe you can relate to them. And maybe it finally gives you the push or the courage or the motivation or the drive to go, hey, you know what? This is something that I want to pursue. Or if Jonathan can do it, then I can do it too. Or maybe it finally gets you off the fence of actually saying, hey, this is not the route that I want to go. I think choosing definitively, no, I don't want to do this, or yes, I do, are both equally as powerful. It's when you get stuck in the middle ground of just being indecisive. That's where the pain really, that's where people get in trouble, is just kind of lingering. So let's talk about Jonathan. Jonathan built a successful career in corporate marketing, helping Fortune 500 companies craft powerful, recognizable brands. But behind the scenes, he was dreaming of something different, something with purpose, ownership, and a lasting impact. He didn't want to go out helping Fortune 500 companies anymore. He wanted to utilize his years of experience and expertise to benefit him and build something that he was an owner of. And so that's when he and his wife reached out to us at Franchise Empire. Our team then made sure that, we would be able to assist and help him, and then got him connected to Chris on our team. Chris is a franchise broker on our team who has been a franchisor, launched a franchise brand. And through our guided process, Chris was able to help Jonathan explore franchise opportunities that align with his values, skill sets, and long-term goals. Jonathan wanted a business rooted in service, one that would allow him to give back to his community and create real change. And just to tell you about our brokerage process overall, so what we do is we used a combination of, it's an art, excuse me, it's an art and a science. Let's talk about the science part first. Well, number one, every candidate that we work with prior to their first meeting with our brokerage team, complete, number one, a net worth assessment. It's just breaking down how you have your assets allocated and your financial resources. Why is this important? Well, because you may want to open X, Y, and Z franchise that, let's say, it costs $700,000 to get open, but if your finances show that you can afford a franchise that costs $300,000 to get open, well, that's important. Understanding your current financial situation as well as financial goals helps to align you with franchises that match those goals and that don't put you in a tight position financially. If you're buying a franchise, it should be because you're in a position to be able to do that, right? So that's the science part of the financial side of things. And then number two is a behavioral assessment that is specific to understanding what sort of franchises are the right fit for you based on your behavioral wiring and your behavioral DNA. We all have different DNA of how we behave, how we think, what our skill sets are. And so we use an assessment for that. And so we may know after that assessment, like, okay, hey, Jonathan needs to stay away from this whole bunch of franchises. And this group here are actually well suited for Jonathan's skill sets and personalities. And so that we pay for that assessment for our clients on our candidates' behalfs. That's the science part of it. Then the art of it is that our franchise brokers, just in learning about your experience and just you as an individual, intuitively know the different brands that are in a portfolio and what may or may not be a good fit. And then there's also the element of we have to do territory checks to make sure, hey, are these brands even available in your area? You could find the best franchise since sliced bread. They're not available in your market or your area. Well, guess what? You got to move on to the next thing. And then, of course, at the Franchise Empire level, we have a whole criteria of brands that we will and won't work with, and we do turn franchise brands down and say, no, you cannot be in our portfolio. We will not recommend you to our clients. So I've kind of made this blurb long a bit, but I wanted to share some of the behind the scenes with you because I think it's helpful. I'd like to know. And if I were in your seat. So what this led to is that Jonathan found the perfect fit through our team with the driving school franchise. They now own one territory in Charlotte, North Carolina, and he gets to be involved in a business that is aligned with really creating real change and helping young kids drive safely, which is obviously very, very important, especially with all of the distracted driving these days with, looking at your phone. And anyways, congrats, Jonathan. We're really excited for you and looking forward to keeping up with your success and how things go. With that said, let's move on to our franchise of the week. And so lately, our franchises of the week, what we've been doing is we've been picking the largest franchises that have household names that you've probably seen and heard of often and breaking them down. So let's talk about Smoothie King. Now, for a while, they were the enemy because I used to own a few juice and smoothie franchises. I would literally, even if we were out of town, I would refuse to go to, no matter how bad I wanted a smoothie or acai bowl, I would refuse to go to our competitors, which is pretty funny. I still feel weird going into other juice and smoothie spots, not as much anymore. And it's been 3-4 years since I sold my last location. Anyways, let's talk about their how they got started, and we'll hit on the numbers, how much money their stores are making on average, what are the startup costs, all of the interesting numbers. Okay, so Smoothie King's story began in 1973 in Louisiana when founder Steve started experimenting with blended fruit drinks to manage his food allergies. His creations would eventually spark an entirely new category. He's often credited with coining the very word smoothie. I'd love to fact check that. Why was he credited with? I mean, it seems like that could be a pretty definitive thing. Who came up with that word? Maybe not. Maybe it's like trying to say who came up with the trend, who came up with this. Those of you who have kids, who came up with the 6-7 thing. I think it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. It's so funny, and it's even funnier because our son is 6 and he's about to turn 7. So you'll be talking to people like, yeah, he's like in the 6-7 age division of sports, and oh my goodness. Anyways, from that small start, Smoothie King pioneered the modern smoothie bar concept, building the following around the idea of fueling active, healthy lifestyles before it became mainstream. And the brand grew steadily across the U.S., expanded internationally. And in 2012, a former franchisee, Juan Kim, purchased the entire brand, a rare and inspiring turnaround from owner-operator to global CEO. His leadership drove massive growth, modernized the brand's image, and propelled international expansion. I think that's just an amazing story. Imagine being a single franchisee and deciding I'm going to buy the entire brand. Pretty cool. I think that's absolutely amazing. And, one of the things that I've said recently and definitely want to share the message more is that owning a franchise can be a great gateway. It's like a great gateway business. Like, just like you've heard the term a gateway drug, and they'll talk about how some drugs are a gateway drug into more extreme drugs. It's usually used as a negative term. In this case, let's call it like a stepping stone. Then that probably has a better connotation. I think franchise ownership can be a great stepping stone. And this take that I'm going to share, could be. I think it's controversial, especially people that want to make franchising to be the best thing since sliced bread. Look, guys, for me, I didn't give a damn about franchising. I bought a franchise strictly to get from point A to point B. I was in a corporate job in financial planning. I wanted to become an entrepreneur. I had many failed businesses. I wanted owning a franchise to get me to full-time entrepreneurship. That was it. And so, there's this whole debate. Well, should you buy a franchise? Should you not start a franchise? Should you start a business? Should you buy a business? Guess what? You can do all of them. Now, should you do all of them at the same time? Probably not. That's likely a terrible idea. But maybe you buy a franchise. Maybe you build that up. You learn business, get your feet wet under a more protected environment because you don't have to figure everything out. Then maybe you exit and sell it. Maybe you don't. Maybe you just become great at running your business and you have a manager that's in place and you set it up, and then maybe you start another business. Maybe you buy your franchisor. Maybe you wind up buying one of your neighboring franchisees out. So I think that franchising is an incredible stepping stone business where I've seen so many people who have started out as a franchisee, and that led to bigger and better things in terms of entrepreneurship for them. I know that was it for me. I mean, my dream had always been to run an online business. I wanted to run an online business where I can inspire and help millions of people. That's what we're able to do at Franchise Empire today, especially through a content channel. So the fact that this guy was a franchisee and then bought his entire brand, hopefully that's inspiring to you in terms of what's possible. And so today, Smoothie King, which is headquartered in Dallas, serves as the official smoothie partner of the Dallas Cowgirls and operates 1,201 total locations, 1,149 franchise, and 52 company owned. Even though my team is playing terrible, I cannot stand the Cowboys. I'm a Commanders fan. I grew up in Northern Virginia. And I'm not a bandwagoner, so I will proudly state that I'm a Commanders fan, even when we are 3-8 this season, although we did make it to the NFC Championship last year. And I will always call them the Dallas Cowgirls. So for that alone, I probably am going to continue to boycott Smoothie King just because they're smoothie partner of the Dallas Cowgirls. But having that many corporate locations allows the brand to test new systems, products, and technology before rolling them out to franchisees. This is very unique, by the way. Okay, in the food space, you'll often find food brands that have a good amount of corporate locations, like Domino's, Papa John's, kind of brands like that. But you'll find a lot of brands that even the food-owned ones that have 1 or 0 corporate locations. So to have 52 company owned is pretty impressive. Let's go over some of the numbers, and then we'll talk about sales as well. So they have 1,201 units. We broke that down. The total investment range is between $346,000 to $679,000 for inline end cap, $661,000 to $1.2 million for freestanding drive-through. The franchise fee is $25,000 to $30,000, 6% royalty on gross sales, 3% marketing fee of gross sales, tech fee of $200 per month. And let's talk about some of their financial data. So if we look at total on the right-hand side here, all of their franchisees, let's see, do I still have this little marker? I don't have it on this one. Okay. You can see it here. Total 1,267 franchisees. Average net sales, $659,000. Typically, net sales is just top-line sales, except you're subtracting taxes and discounts. So it's the amount of sales that's actually getting sent to the franchisee's bank account. And, we typically, for retail locations, like to see a 2-to-1 sales to investment ratio. So, the median here, 679 plus 346. If we divide that by 2, the median to get up and open is $512,000. And so what we would want to see is average sales of $1 million, 2 times that. And what we see is that the top 10% does that, or the top 20% close to it. So, and then you get into the freestanding drive-through, and that median is 1.8 divided by 2. That's 900,000. So When we're looking at these average numbers, the total average $660,000, top 50% only doing 826,000, top 25% 954, top 10% almost 1.1 million. This is not something that I would invest in. The math doesn't make sense. You need to see, if you're investing a median price of $500,000 to get into a franchise, you need to see in a retail brand, you need to see that they're producing about 2 times that on average. Okay. So it's just for the math to make sense. And there are a lot of food brands that they don't quite get to the 2 to 1. And this is why you'll see, again, people that will own 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 food locations because they need to. The margins are so thin, and then your cost of debt is high that you're making a little bit on each location. This is why, like, our candidates primarily are looking at service-based brands. Some of them look at retail-based brands, but it just becomes a different ballgame, and you got to be able to produce different sales. So, hidden treasures. Shots taken, huh? I have plenty of friends out in the Dallas area. So I totally get it. No offense to you, unless you're a Cowgirls fan. I say that playfully, of course. Is that double in sales or profit? It's double in sales. It's double in sales. So again, if the median investment's $500,000 in startup cost, I'd want to see that the total. I'd want to see this number showing at 1 million, and I'd like to see these other numbers higher. Wingstop's actually a good example of that. Wingstop sales to investment ratio is very impressive. We've covered them before on here, and let me just see if I can pull it up real quick and just show you as a point of reference. If I can find it easily. If not, you guys can go to franchiseempire.com, and then we post all of our newsletters. Let me just pull it up real quick. So let's see. Can you see that? You see our website? Go to resources up here in the top right, and then go down to newsletter right here. And then that's not it. Free resources, franchise owner articles. Okay, we need to retitle that. That's not very clear. And let's see. When did we hit Wingstop? Hampton, Arby's, Kumon. We hit it at some point. It might have been a lot longer than I thought, or I'm gonna have to check with the team and figure out where the Wingstop one is. I think it might have been a while ago. I might have missed it too. Anyways, we'll figure it out. I'll come back to the video when I find it and drop a link in the comments. But yeah, 2 to 1 sales to investment ratio, and for service brands, 3 to 1. 3 to 1 for service brands. And there you could have it's a general rule of thumb. I mean, the best thing you could do is franchisee validation, talking to franchise owners, a bunch of franchise owners that own those businesses and understand the financials from their perspective. There could be something unique where the cost of goods is extremely low in a particular business. And you could be one of the ones that so happen to get open for 340 and then, be in the top 25%. I don't know. I mean, if you're getting open for around 346, then the math almost plays out there with the average overall. But guys, everything's expensive these days. Good luck getting open for this amount. Good luck with that. So that's it in terms of Smoothie King. That's not all that we have for you guys. If you're wondering what are franchise opportunities that fit the 2 to 1 sales to investment ratio or 3 to 1 sales to investment ratio, that have that show better average sales, then what you can do is you can go to franchiseempire.com/check territory, and our team will do a free call with you, assuming that you qualify and have like the financial resources, and be able to find some franchise opportunities for you that are specifically available in your area, that align with your skill sets, that align with your financial goals, and that hit some of those criteria points and show strong average sales. So you can go to that website there. I think we have it linked in the description down below too, and I'll get to answering your questions in just a minute. Let's talk about the most recent content that we had go live on the Franchise Empire YouTube channel. Conversation that could save you $300,000. So these are questions to ask before buying a franchise, and what helps people to make good franchise buying decisions and avoid making mistakes. The second one is we covered Dunkin' Donuts. How much money does Dunkin' Donuts make in sales? How much do they cost to get open, fees, etc.? I think you'll find it interesting. Again, that's specifically on the Franchise Empire YouTube channel. And you can also just listen to the audio on whatever your favorite podcast platform is. Now, let's see. Surge Pulls, can you cover the brand PostNet next? Next, I'm not sure. We have a specific list of order that we are going down. We're actually just mirroring the Entrepreneurs Franchise 500 list, what they quote as the largest or top 500 franchises in the US, but they're really just a measurement of basically who are the largest franchise systems that do the most amount of total sales. It's not representative of what are the franchises that franchisees are having the most success in. So that's why we cover these. I don't know if PostNet is on it, but it's something that we'll definitely keep in mind and kind of add to the content list overall to take a look at and see if enough people have interest in that particular brand. But hey, thanks for tuning in. We did this one earlier today because I'm going to be flying out later for a business conference. Typically, we do these on Mondays at 3 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you subscribe before you go, and we'll continue to do these live streams. Make sure to go sign up for this newsletter in case you don't get these in your inbox Sunday mornings. We also have a resale newsletter that we're rolling out this week too. Did it get sent last week? I think we may have sent it for the first time last week. So I believe if you sign up for this newsletter, I believe the way we have it set up is we'll also send you the resale newsletter. In the resale newsletter, we're going to send the top, like, handpicked 20 or 25 resales in different markets and areas that we highlight in that. So I think you'll find that pretty interesting. Maybe we'll maybe we'll live stream that one too. That could be interesting. That's something to think about. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.